4. Hey, we're doing a little tip of the hat thing this week to Bob Boylan over at NPR, who does those tiny desk concerts. Instead, we're doing Tiny Dan's Office concerts, this time with Harlem Shakes, one of my favorite new bands out of Brooklyn.
When I came to stay the same, every sicko kingdom came. Rain rings when we wake up. Just remember, follow 3 till December, you and me. And girl, go get that coat. You give me love, that technicolor.
The album sounds to me really upbeat. You know, when you walked in, I said I was listening to it this morning, and it's better than a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Are you going for that sound?
In general, we didn't want to make, you know, like another kind of sad indie record. Like, we wanted to really make a kind of upbeat, sort of unsentimental pop album.
I also think there's an underlying fear in all of us of, at any given point in the song, anything getting boring, and so we're like, let's make every second as like grab you by the shirt interesting as possible.
I'm sick of slow rock, I'm sick of quick quip, sick of holding on to nothing when I just wanna hold your hips. This will be a better year.
Even lyrically, you hear a lot of upbeat notions. You know, this will be a better year.
Yeah.
And was that a deliberate decision?
That lyric I don't think is ironic, but it's kind of surrounded by a bunch of somewhat ironic lyrics, and it's like basically meant to me, what I was trying to convey was a kind of willful optimism.
Right.
You know,
part of the lyrics are earn a little money, take a lot of shit.
Feel real bad and get over it, which to me I thought was funny, but not everybody took it. Not everybody took it that way.
It's too close to home for a lot of your listeners, I'm sure.
But I think. Yeah, I think of, you know, like basically like a pessimistic mind and an optimistic will is kind of how I thought about those, the attitude in a lot of those tunes.
And is that your attitude personally?
It was when I was making the record.
And now you're just totally pessimistic?
Now I'm just pure bile and pessimism.
I don't even know if you're still with me. I don't even know if you're still you.
When I read reviews of your albums, people keep talking about how your voice is nasal. Well, let me read to you from Blender. With Lexi Benaim, the sinuses are the window to the soul. He sings with his nose in a reedy and brittle style that fits his bookish smarts and radiates wimpy vulnerability.
I think that's ridiculous. I mean, like, basically...
But this is a positive review.
It's a positive review, but that's saying, you know, I just have to say, like, most, even, like, the positive reviews are basically submental. Like, reviewers get kind of fixated on these, like, little tropes that maybe aren't particularly...
Right, so the first review calls you nasal, and then that becomes the sort of meme throughout.
Yeah. Right. I wouldn't call him nasal by any means, but I feel like there are some people who, you know, lazy writers or writers who just kind of want to draw on like the language that everybody uses, call it nasal or whatever, just to mean several other things outside of the word. You know?
But more accurately, generally the music gets described with words like pep and effervescence, and I actually think that's more spot on.
Well, I think there's an undeniably peppy attitude to the songs that I don't think is necessarily the only thing that's there. But at the surface level, I think at the first or second listen, it's the first thing you notice.
No, I'm just a singer, but I feel it in my fingers. There are changes coming soon, nothing but change.
We wanted to make kind of old-fashioned, like, 60s pop record where sort of there's an initial listen and it's just, like, kind of upbeat, sort of, like, sweeping pop. And then the more you listen to it, the more, you know, the kind of lyrics and the details and all these things unfurl.
Do you also fear becoming sort of cliched emo kids?
Every second of every day.
I was a cliched emo kid.
Yeah, I know, me too. There's really no fear. It's more just like people thinking that I secretly am one.
It's not fear. It's actually more better described as panic.
Yeah.
Scale of 1 to 10, how weird
No.
is it to be doing an interview in an ABC News correspondent's office?
11.6.
Sounds like a Pitchfork score.
Yeah. I give this best new interview. For sure.